Hello there everyone, my name is Gadget and this is the first in a new series where I'm bringing you my replays from StarCraft 2 where I have particularly interesting fights or particularly interesting matches. This one is a 1v1 against Sankt Martin. It's a Terran v Terran, also TvT. So we're going to kick this off here and we're just going to up the speed for the first couple of rounds because as we are starting, I've already played this guy at this point today, but we're starting off by just standard building supply depots and building SCVs, and he is doing the same. So then if we slow back down, we get two refineries on the go here because my initial intention here was to do a tech build. Sorry, not a tech build, a mech build. I was going to be building a lot of vehicles and pushing them down the lane really quickly to try and overwhelm him early. The match doesn't quite go that way, but it was a good intention at the start. So we speed up a little bit more here. We have the first barracks coming up. We have more supplies, and we have a factory starting, which I put in the wrong place because I couldn't build the tech lab. I shouldn't have built the tech lab either. I was supposed to be building a reactor so I could get more vehicles. We move the barracks out the way, and then when that's completed, we move the factory in its place. Now we'll just knock down to faster speed, and while I'm building my second factory and third factories, we'll see what he's doing. So at this point, Sankt Martin has already gone up to an orbital defense, orbital command. He has a factory, he has a barracks with a reactor on, 2 supplies, and he's building a bunker. Not something you normally find here. And then he's queuing up 4 more supplies, and I believe that is an engineering bay. Well, I might be wrong on that one. But yeah, he has a load of builds queued up, and like me, he has 2 refineries. But at this point, I've started building my second base. And if we look at the resources available, he is holding on to a lot more resource than I am. So that's Sankt Martin. Yes, he's got 250 minerals, 578 Vespine, and 25 out of 31. Now I'm building a lot more in terms of supply, but I'm spending my minerals, and I will soon be spending all of my Vespine very quickly. Let's speed it up again. But we've expanded first so far. At this point, he's starting to build units, I believe. Yes, so he's already got 2 Marines there. So if we switch over to units, and he's already scanning at me. So he has 2 Marines, I have 4 Marines, and he's starting... No, in fact, sorry, this is me I'm looking at. My God, I'm sorry about this. Yes, I've got 2 Hellions and 3 Marines. He's got 6 Marines going on now. He's building a starport at this point, where I have just got my 3 factories up, and I am starting to build Hellions, and I have Marines. So my initial intention was to build 6 Hellions and 3... What do we want to call them? 3 Cyclones. 6 Hellions and 3 Cyclones to try and get in there and destroy his economy. It kind of doesn't work. So at this point, that tactic will only work if you are kind of around about the 4-minute mark. If you can get it at 4 minutes, Bob's your uncle. However, at this point, I've waited for 5 minutes 21, and I've waited for too long, as you can see. He now has 12 Marines, so he's got enough. Even with my Hellion, Cyclones and Marines, he's got enough to push me back. I don't believe... Neither of us have any upgrades at this point, but he does have enough to push me back if I assault it now. Structure-wise, he is building so much more than I am. He's got 7 supply depots, a factory, a starport, a bunker, barracks. Where I have 1 barracks, 3 factories, 4 supply depots, 1 command center, and 1 orbital command. Difference being, I've expanded now and he hasn't. So you can see from the minerals, I'm starting to earn more minerals. I'm getting a decent rate of Vespine, where he is now spending his minerals, and he has a lot of leftover Vespine that he's doing nothing with. Let's carry on. So I start sending my troops down, and I do a bit of a scan. Right, we're going to look back at units now. Now I don't believe at this point I'd scan properly. And what I tend to do, the Hellions are so fast, so I'll always let the Cyclones catch up. And then the Marines can kind of follow behind. And we'll go in for the first skirmish here. So with having the Cyclones there, I was able to take out most of the Marines. However, this bunker made life very difficult for me, and I had to retreat. He also now has Hellions, and I'm starting to lose troops here. So units killed. I've killed 13. Fist is 16. He's killed 9. But as you can see, I kind of lost most things, and then I realised he had Banshees as well. And Hellions are never going to win against Banshees. Most because Hellions can't attack Banshees. So at this point, I've killed 17 of his units, and he's killed 11 of mine, but he has sort of stronger units. So at this point, I've got more Hellions coming down. I have more Cyclones being built here, more Cyclones being built here, and more Cyclones there. I now have a starport, but I haven't done anything with it yet, which is possibly irritating. I seem to have forgotten to keep building SCVs as well, which I know is bad. Oh yes, because we're actually having a fight here, that's why. Hang on, if we rewind just a little bit. Okay, so this was the initial engagement. And so I backed off when the Hellions came out, and then he sent... I think he spawns a Banshee there, yep. So when I lost the 2 Cyclones, it was time to move back. So I then had another 3 Cyclones join me. And we have another 3... Not Cyclones, Hellions. We have another 3 Hellions coming down. And at this point I believe I felt like I was doing a bit of poke damage. The problem is the Banshee is still a problem. If he's carrying on building Banshees, there's not really much Hellions can do. We killed the SCV. Nearly did. No, we didn't kill the SCV. I thought we did. Oh well. So yeah, see, this is that was doomed for failure, that one. So I lost one of the Hellions. And we move back. We go back to look at the resources. Resources, I'm now, because I'm so focused on the fight, I'm not actually doing anything with them, so I'm just earning minerals and earning Vespene, doing nothing with it. He has gone over the top on Vespene. So right now I've got more troops coming down, and we're just going to hang around with them here. Structures, I see still outpacing me in structures, but I've got more Cyclones here. And I'm just building more and more. I'm starting to spit troops out. Right, let's go in for this fight, which is what I missed before. Now he sends his Cyclones out here, as if he was going to attack me. One problem I do have is triggering onto the Cyclones to attack aerial units. I'm awful for it. And as you can see, I completely screw this one up. That was awful. That was completely awful on my end. I do have more Cyclones coming in here, and a random SCV. But this is kind of also doomed for failure as well. You get the troops, but then when the Banshees start coming back in, I don't pay enough attention to it, and I lose these ones as well. I did take a supply depot with me, but it was still unacceptable losses. So at this point, I believe we've killed just about as much as each other, but I also have managed to kill 2 SCVs, and he hasn't touched any of mine. So now he has 2 starports, both with tech labs on them, an engineering bay. He has missile defenses, and he's finally building his second command center. I have a siege tank. I still only have the 1 spaceport, but I am now starting to build Vikings. And I also have my 3 factories, and I'm still outputting units at a rate of knots. So, still the Cyclones. I should have probably dedicated more time to doing siege tanks early on. We're building this 3rd base now. So it's now a rush to try and keep the minerals going, because as you can see, we are both at the point where we're starting to overmine. The music is very dramatic, but even though nothing's happening. So yeah, workers are still at the same point. Units, I've kind of overtaken in units, but he has Banshees, and I don't. I have a siege tank, I have 2 Vikings, 8 Cyclones, 1 Marine. Something died. Oh yeah, that was the mule. I was going to say something died there, but that was the mule. So he's building his second base. Now his intention, I believe, is to fly it over there or fly it over there. I think at some point I actually come down and see where it's going. But he has got... He's now got far more Banshees than I can reasonably handle. To be honest, if he pushed now, he could win. Which actually, now looking back on it, I should have been worried about. But because I wasn't paying too much attention to what he was doing, I didn't know what was going on. So I've got my little ball of cyclones here. And I start pushing them down. And I start scanning to see what's around. Unfortunately, the scanning isn't wide enough. So there goes his second base. I think he's going to drop that here. Or he's just going to hang it in the air. So at this point I just start attacking the SCVs, and the tanks come in, and the Vikings. Now again, this one was not the best push I've ever done. And he starts teasing me. Well, strangely, he's not paying attention to the Vikings that are attacking his Banshees. So we're going to speed up again when we get past this bit, because I need to, again, regroup. So I get another little ball of vehicles going on here, while he's kind of doing the same, really. And then he starts asking for tips. As if I'm an authority on this. He says making a video describing his game. So to speed up a little bit more, because there's a bit of waiting here. Basically, all I'm going to do is build up my troops. So we'll pause it here, and I'll show you what I'm doing in my base. So I've got the fusion core up. I now have a second starport, and I'm just building Vikings, and I've got a tech lab on this one, and I'm building battle cruisers. In this case, I've already done the research on the fusion core for the Yamamoto cannon. I have... Did I actually do any upgrades this match? I don't believe I did. Oh yes, I did. So I put that engineering bay down there, and I think I got my upgrades to level 1. Where is upgrades? There it is. So I've got the weapon refit, and I will start getting that soon. So let's go now. Alright, okay, slow it down. So he's kind of skirting his Banshees around. He's got 2 siege tanks set up on either side of his second base. Like I say, I'm already up onto my third base, and I am raking in the minerals. I am so cash rich now, it's unbelievable. So I can basically just keep spamming troops. And the first of my battle cruisers is available. We don't have any of the upgrades on it yet, but I will start getting them at some point. Units, so I'm overtaking him now in units, and I've got higher level units as well. So he's obviously scanning me to see what I'm doing here. But because he's focused so much on kind of aerial defense, especially with all those Banshees, and that marine ball is just lethal. The battle cruisers are useful because they can attack troops and aircraft. So at this point I've got my third starport up. I've completely mined out the first base. I've almost mined out the second base, but I've started work on a fourth base. What am I building there? With a refinery there. I'm continuing to build up the Ball of Death, which is, I think, what I'm going to title this one. It's the Mechanical Ball of Death. And he keeps scanning me just to see what I've got here. But I'm outstripping him in firepower as I go on. If you excuse me. In fact, the greater firepower I've got, the better. So we're going to speed up just a little bit while we wait here, because this is basically going to come down to one huge battle. At this point, he's not really building that much, because he's almost out of money. So he did have a little skirmish at one of my bases with a couple of Banshees, and I kind of squashed that with overwhelming force. Another battle cruiser and a soldier waiting here. So I'll bring my troops back over. At this point, so I'm leading him in units killed and in workers killed. He's only managed to kill one of my SCVs. There's only a couple of minutes left of the game, so at this point we are probably quite soon, when this battle cruiser joins the fight, going to actually head in and have a go. So 73 SCVs, 5 Hellions, 10 Vikings, 7 Cyclones, 2 Siege Tanks, 10 Marines and 5 Battle Cruisers against 13 Banshees, 1 Viking, 2 Siege Tanks, and 41 Marines. So I'm just positioning just on the outskirts of his area. He's running so low on money right now, and his economy's... I mean, I've got 6,500. So I thought I'd let it go with the Yamato cannon. Those Marines don't last at all. And he was basically he was too slow in returning fire with the Banshees. And to be fair, we're both taking heavy losses here. But I still have my battlecruisers. And plus I've got more and more troops on the way, so I've got more soldiers coming down. I'm still constantly producing soldiers. There's not long left in this one. We're about to get them. So we start taking on the bunker, which is now pestering my battlecruisers. Drop down the Vikings onto the ground. Because I realised that they were just actually at this point doing nothing, and I'm just actually losing Vikings by not paying attention. So we drop them onto the ground. And it was at this point that he resigned and I won. So let's just look what we had left at the end there. So by the end he had 5 Marines left, which were the ones pretty much encapsulated within that bunker. I had 4 Banshees, 6 Vikings, 2 Siege Tanks, 1 Marine and 1 Battlecruiser left. I killed 109 of his units, he killed 81 of mine. I killed 17 workers, he killed 1 of mine. Looking on the structures, he way outbuilt me in terms of structures. To be honest, it shows that he's a newer player than I was, because he should have been able just to come in and just overrun me and just wallop me down. Because at one point he had so much more than me, but he was too hesitant, he held back. In terms of the economy, I utterly destroyed him. I mean, by the end of the game, I had 1, 2, 3, 4. I had 5 bases, all mining fairly consistently. I had 7,713 minerals, 531 Vespine, and by the end it was 125 out of 200 supply, compared to his 757, 798, and 20 out of 165. In terms of APM, he actually outbeat me for most of it. His average was 48, mine was 47. 31 was my APM by the end. At the current moment, I think he'd just given up at that point. Upgrades, yeah, so we'd both gotten Terran building armor, and we'd both gotten infantry level 1 and armor level 1, but I also had the weapon refit on the battlecruisers. Production, I had just more in production than he did at any given point. Units lost, I lost 81 units, he lost 113 in total. So, structures, spending. So yeah, I spent vast amounts on my army, much more than he did, like by 10,000 more than he did. So that's kind of the first game that I wanted to show you guys. I'm going to be going through this whenever I have victories, or whenever I have particularly interesting failures, or anything that just might be amusing or interesting for people to watch. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this, please do make sure you like, subscribe, favourite, hit the bell so that you'll always get notified of when new videos come up. I'm going to try for at least 2 videos a week now. You can also catch me streaming StarCraft, Heroes of the Storm, Hearthstone and Overwatch live at twitch.tv/Gadget8bit. For now though, my name has been Gadget. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.